years. It's a question of scope. We set out, we talked about the story, and it's a huge story, and it's grand. It's very big, and we started down the path of this new storytelling vehicle called, internally we're calling it story mode. And in doing so, we realized very quickly if we were ever going to ship this thing and get it out the door, we needed to break it up somehow, because to cut it back, we couldn't really use story mode. Story mode, just to give you a little bit of background, is the idea that the player can go through, click on a lot of different elements. They get an opportunity to listen to dialogue from players, hear news reports based on the actions they've taken, and more importantly, there's cutscenes and other things that really reinforce the story, on top of purchasing technology and choosing which missions they want to go on. Doing that in 8 to 10 missions is just not reasonable. It's no longer story mode. So we were experimenting with it, and I would say, I don't know if you agree on this, Sammy, but maybe back during our preparations for Blizzcon 2007, realizing time-wise that this is just not a reasonable thing. So as we explored that, it took us months to really make a decision on it, but it was pretty clear that since we wanted more missions, we wanted the player to have choice, that cutting back wasn't the answer, but rather allowing us to focus on particular parts of the story is the best way to do it. So we're not cutting back. It's still 26 to 30 missions per side. We're focusing on Terran first, rolling out Zerg next, and Protoss beyond that. And bottom line is it's allowing us to try out and do what we think is a better storytelling device, which is story mode.
Yeah, think of like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. If they jammed it into one movie, you would lose so many cool things.
Right.
So when we were working on it, we were okay, well, we're going to have to pull this guy. Why? We got to get this thing moving. It's like, no, that's not Blizzard. We don't chop it. But we have to be smart about it too. We can't, keep making this game until 2025.
Right. Not this year. I can at least confirm that it's not going to be this year. Oh my God, shocking! Yeah, exactly. Home Alone, right? I think we're trying to, at our milestone-wise, we've got the whole company now playing an alpha. Just recently happened in the last few weeks here, and that's a good first step. But there's going to be a lot of feedback and iteration, and then we're working really hard on Battle.net itself, and of course it's a Battle.net beta. So as we get through that, hopefully as soon as possible after the new year, but there's no specific date at this point.
There's still things that we look at and go, oh, we got to fix that. So we try to get as much of those out of the way, so we don't have however many people are in the beta going, hey, what about this? We're like, you're right.
Yeah, we
allow
really
them to focus more on the game as opposed to the obvious.
The balance, the balance rather than if we're going to hear everybody reporting that same thing, like every time I do this, it does, we don't want that to be the source of exactly.
I remember in Korea, they're like, oh, dude, StarCraft's done. What are they waiting for?
Well, yeah, I mean, unless something crazy comes up and we change direction somehow or something happens, right now our intention is StarCraft 2 is next, after Wrath.
The only change that I've seen is that we get free Guitar Hero stuff now.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
That's absolutely true. There's been, and that was part of the big thing, when they did this, that Blizzard would continue to operate on its own and really be making the calls about Blizzard. And so from the only thing that's changed for me is occasionally on the news I'll see some Activision Blizzard thing that would have previously been Activision. But no, there is no change. Nothing that nobody's coming by. It's always been kind of like, okay, who are these new? We have an amazing executive staff that's done a great job at, really cushioning us against
the gentle types.
Against all that. We don't even get affected by that at all.
That's good. Yeah.
In fact, it was shocking to everybody when I think the announcement was made just before the end of the year. I can't even remember now, but everybody was like, wow, nobody saw this coming. It was completely hidden. And, of course, even internally, the same questions are asked, and there's been zero influence or really discussion that way. Mike Morheim runs the company, and we have the executive staff above that, and those are still the same people.